loved. I am here standing here today because I'm loved. I'm so grateful that I'm loved. I don't take it for granted that people have sacrificed their time this Friday evening to come and support us. You can make more money, but you can't make more time. So I just want to start off by saying how grateful I am for you sharing your Friday evening with us. And I want to thank Dr. Moss because her story is very similar to mine. And I appreciate her for her courage to really galvanize nurses, because probably if I had someone like her so many years ago, I may have stayed a nurse on the floor a little bit longer. My story was very similar to her. So I want to start off by saying thank you to Ms. Joanne. I've known Ms. Joanne now for over 5 years, and I got to say that we have had a love affair since the very first day that I met her. So I'm just really, really grateful for her. Thank you to Dre and Fran, Gallery Bouchard. I've known them for many years. Thank you to the Women on Top of Their Game Foundation, as well as Chat. I see many family and friends here today, and I'm just ultimately grateful. I'm especially grateful for the women in my life, because at every phase of my life, I've had a woman to come alongside me and say, you can do it, baby. Do it this way, or don't do it that way. Today I walked in here and I saw a woman that gave me my first job as a nurse. You talk about full circle. My very first job as a nurse at 20 years old, and I walk in here and she's a part of Black Nurses Rock and knows Miss Joanne, and Miss Joanne and all of her sisters are nurses, and I'm like, oh my God, there is a place for us in the world today. So I'm here to talk to you about my journey from depression to living my dream life. So let me first talk about what depression looks like for African American women. I did everything right. My daddy said he dropped me off to school. I was 16 years old. I graduated at 20. I got a good job. I bought a house. I bought a car. I had family and friends that loved me. But I was unhappy. And I couldn't figure out why. My unhappiness looked like insomnia. It looked like anxiety. It looked like aggression. I couldn't figure out why do I feel tense? Why do I feel on edge all the time? So I started hiding. People that knew me didn't know that I was hiding, but I knew that I was hiding. And I'm like, God, what's wrong? I checked everything off the list. So why am I unhappy? As a matter of fact, I made more money than both of my parents put together. So growing up in my house, money was the causing problem. We had plenty of love, but you rob Peter to pay Paul. And so now I don't have that problem. So I feel in my heart, why am I so unhappy? Because I can pay my bills. So Mable, what's wrong with you? Right? So December of 2014, Christmas is my favorite. Anybody here that knows me knows that I'm starting to decorate like as soon as Thanksgiving comes. It's my favorite, okay? And this particular Christmas, I was myself. I could not figure out, and it was a great year. I raised more money in my nonprofit than I ever had. I had the biggest bonus check year than I ever had, but I wasn't happy. And I'm like, God, help me. Help me figure out what's really going on. Why do I feel so unhappy? So I began to pray and meditate. And it's really interesting because it was like my eyes were opened. And I heard God say, let go. And I'm like, let go of what? about that and what that looks like. Yes, I had a corporate job, but very similar to what Dr. Moss said, I had begun to accept that I was working in an environment where I wouldn't be acknowledged for my work. I was working in an environment where I was the only African American, and they were unapologetic about not valuing diversity. And so what I said to myself was, well, you get paid enough money, you just have to realize that you get paid to not get credit for your work, so don't worry about any external validators, just collect your check. And you get paid to CYA, and that should be enough. And that was enough for a little while, but I'm a superstar. And if you know anything about a superstar, you can't dim no superstar lifelong. And I remember my best friend saying to me, you know, you're not that kind of girl. I'm like, no, but I love my check. I mean, they get on my nerve, but I really love my check. But it got to the point where loving my check wasn't enough. It was costing me more than what it was worth. So I'm like, well, you know, how do I say to my daddy, I don't like this job. I want to quit my job, my good job. Because I watched my father go to work in the cold from People's Gas when it was 15, 20 degrees outside because he had a family to feed. And I didn't really understand the magnitude of that until I got older, and I was like, it's cold outside. And my daddy never missed work. So how do I reconcile that I have this dream job that's really a nightmare for me now? How do I say that I don't really want this? This is not who I am. This is not who I want to be anymore. I had to let go. I had the realization that I was unhappy or confused about my womanhood. Growing up in church, you heard every Sunday, or Sunday school, vacation Bible school, that a woman was created to be a what? A helpmate to a man. Okay. So I'm in my late 30s, and I'm dating without any true commitment. I don't have no prospects. I'm watching my female counterparts date, but not really be committed. And in my heart, I'm wondering, is God pleased with me? Because I'm a single, childless woman. And I've been hearing for my whole life that I was created to be a helpmate. So I'm angry, I'm frustrated, and I'm confused. And I don't know who to talk to about it because I don't want to seem ungrateful and I don't want to bring attention to myself. So I just stuff it down and pretend like I'm okay with it. But I wasn't okay. And so I'm like, okay, I'm okay because I have a good job. I live in a beautiful condo, but my condo felt like prison. My condo felt like prison because I couldn't walk down the street whenever I wanted to because I didn't feel safe. I couldn't order delivery to my neighborhood because the restaurants that I liked didn't deliver where I lived. So yes, I have this beautiful condo that I have paid $300,000 for, but it feels like prison to me. And then there's my social standing as an African American woman. Recently, you all have been a part of the news or seen the news and the violence in the African American community. Seeing a lynched black man in the 21st century rocked my soul. I'm 39 years old. I read in history books about lynchings after Jim Crow, Reconstruction. Surely I'm not living in a lifetime where a black man can be lynched. It was remarkable watching the protest after the deaths of Sandra Bland and Freddie Gray, Michael Brown, and being a part of some of the conversations, or even on the sidelines, I saw myself. I saw myself, I saw my family, I saw my friends. And I'm like, God, help me. The social climate is changing, or maybe it never changed and I just didn't know it. I don't know. But I'm afraid. I'm uncomfortable. I said, well, Mable, no wonder you can't sleep. No wonder you're uncomfortable. But maybe, just maybe, I'm looking around and everybody else seems to be okay. So God, what's wrong with me? It seems like everybody else is coping and going along. So why am I having such a hard time? So I stayed there for a while. Like, I just need to do better. I need to try something else. But it wasn't working. So I agreed to start psychotherapy. My best friend called me and said, I'm going to therapy, you're going to therapy too. You know how, and nobody do nothing by themselves, right? So I show up to my therapist, first appointment, and I say, I'm not here because I need therapy, I'm here because my best friend told me I should do it. Because she need therapy, right? And so classic her. We've been friends since I was 16 years old, so when she tells me to do stuff, I do it. But I realized that I was anxious, and for good reason. So here's the caveat to that my emotional alarm was sounding, danger, danger, danger. And I was ignoring it. There was nothing wrong with me being anxious. I needed to be anxious. I needed a change. And my body, and my emotions, and my spirit was telling me I needed a change. So, my change came. I decided that I was going to take a trip around the world because I wanted to see what my experience would be like as an African American woman. I wanted to experience other cultures, and I wanted to get an understanding of who I was and who I was becoming. So y'all know I had to tell my daddy, right? I had to tell my father that I was going to move outside the United States and sell my stuff. I called him over to my house. He sat at my kitchen counter, and I said, Daddy, I'm taking a trip around the world. And he said, you trying to kill me. Why would you move out of the country, man? Why can't you move to another state? He laid prostrate, literally, across my kitchen counter. And he said, who's gonna take care of me? I said, Daddy, this is not about you. I'm like, Daddy, Mommy has been dead 15 years. You better go get you a girlfriend, or a wife, or something. Because I'm not done to take care of you. Now, y'all know my dad came back 6 weeks later. His girlfriend said, no, he's not found somebody. I'll take you. Side note. For those of you who are delaying any change or movement in your life because of the people in your immediate surroundings, you just might be a source of stagnation for them and you don't even know it. Maybe you can thank me later. Because who knows, if I was still here, my dad would be like, my baby got me. No, Daddy, marry somebody. Somebody. Okay? So once I got that out of the way, right, I gave myself permission to put myself first. My grandmother raised me for my family values to be God first, family second, and Mable last. And I'm sure there are several people that have been in my life a long time. I'm confident to say that that's the way I live my life. But it was time for me to put myself first. And I was okay with that. My best friend can attest to that. She's like, we've been working on this for a long time. It's time for you to put yourself first. So I said, okay. So I sold my house, had yard sales, sold my stuff, my clothes, and I made a plan to take a trip around the world. So the first thing I did was let go. Second thing I did was gave myself permission to put myself first. The third thing I did was get in motion. I had to tell my daddy, sell my stuff. So a few months went by once I started to set the plan in motion. And I began to wonder, what if I don't like it? What if the people are mean? What if I can't communicate? What if I run out of money? What if? Y'all heard me say I got a proclivity to anxiety, right? So I can worry. My brother says, what you tell me, I can worry shit off the horse. I always got something smart to say. But it's true. Being a worrier makes me a great project manager, by the way. But anyway, I started to worry, and I'm like, you know what? I made myself a promise. Every time I start to worry, I think about the experience I had with my mother. My mother had breast cancer, and she was going through chemotherapy, and I had dropped her off at the hospital or the doctor's office. And usually when I would drop her off at the doctor's office, she would wait upstairs for me, and I would park the car, and I would come upstairs to get her when she was finished. So this particular day, I dropped her off, I went and ran errands, and I came back to pick her up, preparing to go upstairs to get her. But when I pulled up, she was standing outside, leaned up against the wall. And I'm panicking because I'm like, what are you doing outside? So I hurry up and literally pull the car in the middle of the street, and I can see that she's crying. So I'm rushing to her, and I'm like, Mommy, what's the matter? And I get her to the car, and I start to drive. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. I was driving down 27th in Michigan. And I said, please tell me what's wrong. What's wrong, Mommy? What's wrong? And she said, he said that I'm going to die. And I said, who said you're going to die? He said I'm going to die, Mable. He said that I'm going to die. The doctor told me that I'm going to die. I said, he said, what? He said, and he said it like Ernestine, you are going to die. I said, I cannot believe he said that to you. What do you mean? We going back. We going back, because don't nobody talk to my mama like that. We are going back. No, Mable, don't. It's so funny. No, Mable, don't go back. And I said, Mommy, please change doctors. I was working at the University of Chicago in oncology. And I said, I've already talked to the oncologist, and they've agreed to take you as a patient. And she said, no. I said, no? What do you mean, no? You don't even like this dude. He's a jerk. And you've gone through 2 rounds of chemo. It's not working. What do you mean, no? And she looked me square in the face, and she said, Mable, I know the demons over here. I don't know the demons over there. At 23 years old, I had no idea what she was talking about. All I knew is that I was pissed off. And I did not understand how somebody would opt to an uncomfortable situation when they had an option to get out. Something changed in me that day, though. I made a commitment to myself that I wasn't going to make decisions based out of fear and uncertainty. So whenever in my own life I feel like I'm not going to move or I'm not going to make a decision, I go back to that day in that car. My mother died later that year. I don't know if changing doctors would have saved her life because she didn't want to try. You know, they say, you think the grass is greener on the other side, but it's dirt. Let me introduce you to Mable, Chandrea, Tabitha. I will be the one to go find out if it's dirt, if it's a flower, if it's a tree. If the grass is brown where I am, I'm going to make an informed decision. At least I'm going to go see. So when the what if started to come about me deciding to take the journey, I got a visit from Ernestine Jones Tapper reminding me, let me go see. So the fourth thing I want to say to you is don't allow fear to stop you or uncertainty stop you from going to seek out opportunities for change in your life. So, I'm on my journey, right? My brothers and my daddy, my friends, they send me off. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I know it's going to be good. So when I first left, I was homesick, as you can imagine. And I was also anxious about like not having a real job. I would wake up in the middle of the night like, you are really crazy. Who does this? Like, what are you? You gotta go get a job. And I would literally wake up, sit up. I was in Bali. Who does that in Bali? I'm in Bali, sitting in the middle of the bed like, let me sit out my resume at least a couple of places just so I feel like I'm doing something. Fool, this is your time to heal. This is what you asked for. I need you to focus and just be cool. So I adopted the mantra, be more, do less. I'm going to spend time this year focused on being more of myself and not trying to prove myself. So I had these little instances that would happen along the way, and it was like, okay, she's ready to pull this layer back. One of the things that was really, really impactful for me, I stayed with a family in South Africa that had two twin girls. They were 10-year-old girls, Boyisa and Melissa. And I was there at Christmas time, the Iron Really Matter, right? In South Africa, in December, it's warm outside. So they don't celebrate like we celebrate, with snow, and it's real laid back. In this particular family, Christmas was just kind of like another day. So you got me with a family that Christmas is like another day. I'm like, y'all not putting up a Christmas tree? Wait a minute, not only are we not putting up a Christmas tree, we're gonna make decorations. I take the kids, find a craft store, and I have them making ornaments, handmade ornaments in true Mable fashion. They have never seen nothing like it in their life. Right? And I realized in spending time with these little girls that the fear that I had was that all of the traditions that my mother instilled in me would die with me because I didn't have my own children. But in those moments that I spent with those kids, I realized that my womanhood was not defined by my maternity, but it was defined by my capacity to love and share compassion and nurture children. So in those moments that I spent with those kids, my heart was mended. I was so grateful. It just came. And all of a sudden, I was okay. I made peace with my mama's legacy living on through every soul that I touched. I was no longer burdened by the thought that because I didn't have children, God was not pleased with me. Did I expect for it to come like that? No. And it takes me back to, I didn't know that that was going to happen when I started the journey. Right? I realized that my path is my unique path, and that I am in charge of my destiny and my quest for freedom, passion, and purpose. And just like my decisions led me to opportunities for me to heal places in me that I didn't even know needed healing, I believe that each one of us have opportunities to heal ourselves. But we allow fear, we allow chatter, and we allow comparison to steal our joy. I was walking down a winery in Cape Town, South Africa, with my best friend, my road dog. And we met this lady, her name is Masunda, and she was from Zambia. And it just so happened I was actually shooting a commercial for this blog series that I was doing, Michelle was filming. And a man walked by, and he saw me, he heard me say, "This is my 29th country this year." He said, 29th country, who are you? And he waited for us to finish filming, and he introduced us to Masunda. And Masunda said, "Oh my God, I'm from Zambia." I said, "Zambia, girl, I want to go to Zambia because I want to go to Victoria Falls." And she said, "Well, I'm from Zambia, but I live in Nairobi." I said, "Oh, I'm going to Nairobi next week." She said, "Well, you got to come stay in my house." I said, No, I'm not coming to stay at yours. But I'll call you when I get to Nairobi. I was going to a girlfriend's wedding. So I called Masunda when I got to Nairobi. And she said, you don't want to come over and stay at my house. I'm like, these people crazy. I don't know you. I'm not staying at my house. I'll come, visit. We can meet for lunch. But I'm not coming to stay at your house. She said, "Well, come over for Sunday dinner." I said, "Okay." I came over for Sunday dinner, and she had two little kids, a boy and a girl, Shy and Sanaa. Y'all know I fell in love with Shy and Sanaa, right? I never left. I was at the lady's house for 10 days. I never went back to the other apartment. She was like, "I have clothes." She didn't even want me to go back and get clothes. She gave me clothes, went and bought me some underwear. Okay? And while I was there, throughout my journey, I've been asking women to share quotes with me that their mothers shared with them. That was a part of one of the projects that I had. And so her quote to me was a Bimba proverb. And the proverb says, "When you admire a house, just look at the roof." I was like, what does that mean? Like? She said, "Because you don't know what's going on in the house. The only thing you could be sure of is that it's a roof on it." And in that moment, I heard comparison is the killer of joy. So back to me, Mable. You've been looking at where other people are in their life. Reconcile it. Standing in her living room, it was like, pow. I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I guess I am. I guess I was comparing myself. I never thought I was, but when I think about it, I was. So there's another part of me that was healed. Stop comparing yourself. You be all right. Just look at the roof. It's a nice roof. Right? So then, a few months later, I met a gentleman walking down the street, random. And he said to me, he says, well, first of all, you know, when you travel around the world, you don't see a lot of black people, right? So when you see a black person, you be like, hey! Hey! What? No, let me preface this by saying that you see black people that are African American, and then you see black people that are African. It is something when you see an African American, right? Because they got a certain swag. Y'all see my daddy up here, go back, walk, he got a toothpick in his mouth, he's so outside. And he got a little pimp as he walks. So I saw the brother walk past, up the street, and I literally run. Hi! My name is Mable, and I'm visiting. I know he was like, I'm happy to see you too. You know, we don't see many black people. What you doing here? What you doing here? And so we had this exchange, and I was asking him about where the black people were. Like, did they have a black meetup? You know, I wanted to get the people together. You know, like, I'm like, we could really, you know, do this thing. How long have you been living over here? I was in Bangkok. He said, I've been here for 7 years. I said, 7 years? What you been doing over here? He said, I ain't never going back. I said, you ain't never going back? Like, he was like, man, I love it. I found me a wife, a Thai wife. I ain't never going. Brother was from Cleveland. Okay? I was like, wow. He said, yeah, man. He was like, you know, walking around in Bangkok, I feel so light and free. And I was like, you know what? You got a point. I walked from the train station, which is like 7 blocks, to my place. I'm not constantly scanning the street. I feel completely comfortable. I'm not aware of my blackness. And I was like, I never thought about it like that. This is the feeling that I was looking for. Everybody said I didn't feel like I could walk. I like to walk. I want to live somewhere where I can walk around and feel comfortable just walking. And I didn't realize how uncomfortable I was until I felt what comfort felt like. So I want to remind us sometimes we have to step outside of what's familiar in order to discover what we really need. It was in that moment that I was like, aha, this is what I was looking for, this feeling right here. So I called my daddy. And I said, Daddy, I'm not coming home. He said, why would you do this to me? I said, you don't take a pill. You ain't got a ailment. We ain't got it. I'm supposed to like put my whole life on hold. Daddy, no. I'm not coming home. I like where I am. I'm concerned about where Black people, minorities, race relations is going in the United States. I gotta be honest, I'm concerned. It makes my heart pitter-patter. And I said, I don't want to come back to that right now. You can come visit. But I don't want to come back to that right now. My father said to me, Black people are survivors. That's what we do. And I said to my daddy, when do I get to thrive? We've been surviving, and we are survivors. I know how to survive. My mama taught me how to roll with the punches. But when do I get to survive? I want to give myself permission to go and find the best space for me. It's no slight to anybody else. I want to find the best space that I can thrive in. Doesn't mean somebody else can't thrive in it. It just means that I'm looking for the one that's the best for me. And if I found somewhere that just happens to be not in the United States, then that's where I'm going to be. So I'm standing here before you today to remind you, do not settle. Make sure you do not, or use my mama's story. Make sure you don't let fear cripple you from seeking out opportunity for change. Make sure you survey your environment, people, places, and things that are holding you back from being the person that you want to be and the person that you truly are. And lastly, do something. Get in motion. Don't just talk about it and think about it. Be about it. Don't quit your daydream. Live it. And remember, the best of who you are resides